everyone. So excited for you to be here for another Let's Eat with Abby. It's lunchtime, and I know you guys are hungry, but when I talk about eat, it's a little bit different than what you might be used to. We are talking about educate, automate, and target. And that goes hand in hand with our guest today because he's going to be breaking down some patient communication information for us. We have our very own Peyton Branch. Hey, Peyton.
Hey, guys.
Peyton is our campaign manager here at High Five Practice, and you have been a part of the team for how long now?
Yeah, since 2015, so a little over 6 years now. So thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah.
To talk about.
Thanks for joining me.
Talk about things I do all day, every day here. So love it.
You're definitely the expert in all of this. I mean, I remember when we first started back in the day when we were first. Guys, we used to build out everything in HubSpot when it came to patient communications, our pages, converting pages, and then we had a demo with RevenueWell and figured out that this is already built. So it's pretty cool to see how the company has come to today.
Yeah, definitely. I started off here at High Five, got brought on to do reputation management. So that was, just managing online listings for our clients, and then also doing some patient communication stuff. So it's been interesting to see just how, at High Five we've evolved through the years, but one thing has always stayed true, one thing we've always done, and that's patient communication. That is enhancing that communication, that's sending out campaigns and emails and text messages, and just messaging in general. That's just one thing that High Five it's been our bread and butter. We've never strayed away from that. And now in 2021, we are, foot on the gas and just keeping that part of our company growing and enhancing that. Because we just found out through the years that sending out, every time we sent out an email, the practices, their phones would ring and they would get appointments just coming. And we're just like, wow, this is really something powerful that we have in our hands right now, and let's keep going that way. Let's find out how we can make this better and how we can build upon these communications. It's something that a lot of practices, they just don't really think about. When they're trying to grow their practice, one thing that practices really focus on is new patients. They focus a lot on social media, SEO, and that sort of thing. But one thing they really don't ever think about is something that they have in their back pocket, that it is possible for them to send out email campaigns and text message campaigns to their patients in order to get those things running. So a stat, only 20% of dental practices even use email marketing. So I would say probably 80% of practices have the ability, or even more percentages, to be able to send out that messaging, and only 20% use it to its full effectiveness. And just email marketing is just one of those things that keeps it allows you to keep top of mind in these patients because they're going through their day to day. They're not thinking about necessarily, I haven't been to the dental practice in a long time. So email marketing allows you to just step into their world and gives them that touch point and gives them that opportunity to book online and to call your practice, that sort of thing. So I'm just very excited to be on here and talk about how we do campaigns and email marketing here at High Five, and how easy it is and how effective it can be. So
absolutely. Excited. And Peyton, you have worn so many different hats here at the company. So that's why I'm really excited for you to join me today too, because you really can give insight and perspective on different modes of communication that we've done at High Five Practice. And I love how you mentioned the fact that the phones ring when we send out emails and texts every time. And it's been true throughout all of our different types of marketing efforts. That has really been consistently the one that brings results. That has consistently been the one that gets our clients excited and why we stand out and why they remember us. Mm-hmm. So I think it's great that you bring that stat that only 20% actually use email marketing. And I think it's a thing of the past, right? Like we have everything at our fingertips now as far as like social media and just different influences about in all different platforms. But the fact that email is traditional, sure, but it works because it's still prevalent. It's still something everybody checks every single day, every single morning when they first wake up. And so to neglect that is just crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I think what you're going to talk about today is really diving into not only how to send out an email, but what elements, what are effective, how we actually drive those results, and what people might be forgetting to utilize, and why they're probably not getting those types of results that we see with our clients and our email messaging.
Yeah. So you may be thinking like, we send out appointment reminders, we send out, recall messaging, maybe, just they're trying to rack their brain, trying to come up with, what would I send my patients, and that's an easy one for us. We have something like, I don't know, 100 different campaign templates that we've come up with over the years, ranging from, end of year insurance to just, educating patients on the benefits of same day dentistry with CEREC. So there are just tons of opportunities to get those communications out, and all you need is a system. So you have your management system, your scheduling system, and that does what it does.
So like EagleSoft, Dentrix, Open Dental.
Yep.
You need to have there's that first, right?
Right, and those don't necessarily send out these types of communications that we're talking about. Those will be used more maybe for appointment reminders. But on top of that, you can have systems that can automatically sync with your Dentrix and your EagleSoft to send out email marketing and text message marketing, using these systems. So that's RevenueWell, Lighthouse, NextHealth. There's a whole slew of companies that can do this, but it takes a bit of a different mind in order to understand how to fully utilize these powerful systems. So that's where we come in, and we can get in there, and I mean anybody can get in there and do this. It's really not rocket science, but it just takes some getting your feet wet in order to just realize how easy it can be. So yeah, I mean a great. We at High Five we send out our marketing plan, sends out 18 different types of communications throughout a yearly basis. That includes 6 educational emails and then 12 targeted type emails. So those educational emails, when we talk about that, it's sending out emails that go out to the entire patient database, educating them about different types of technology that you have, your team members, and
financial. I mean, it's really the top barriers, right? Your financial options, what people typically have, as far as doing this guy. As far as making sure that I'm sorry. Oh, you want to do Let's Eat?
No, the top right. This is going to restart. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. My computer is freaking out. No, I got you. So basically, we like to make sure that there's educational ones that are combating those barriers to alleviate those pains so patients know exactly how to take control of their appointment, whether they want to book the appointment and make sure that they want to have full control over their process as far as dental. So tell me about what the most effective or types of messages that you typically see that people might not be sending out.
Yeah, so one of my favorite types of campaigns to do for a client would just be a simple one, and that's reactivation. So this is just simple messaging. We like to do an email and a text message with this one. And this is just targeting patients that are unscheduled and have not been in the practice in at least 12 months. So and that goes from 12 months to, 36 months, 48 months. We want to, there's some patients out there that would love to come back to your practice, but they're just not thinking about it, and it's been a few years. And so just providing that opportunity to book that appointment can be the push that they might need. So that's the email is fairly simple. An email consists of a subject line. We like to have a header image in the email, some body copy, and then a clear call to action. When I say call to action, I mean like a button at the bottom of the email saying request an appointment or schedule a consultation, and then include your phone number, of course. But in 2021, we're wanting just to get it done kind of online instantly. Yeah. I recently moved, and when I'm looking for a new dentist, we don't have any clients around where I live, so I was kind of looking for someone that I haven't dealt with. So I went on their website, requested an appointment online, and then got a text message a couple hours later saying I'm booked for July 19th and haven't spoken to the practice, but I'm booked. And,
Isn't that crazy?
It was just so easy. Just so easy for me to do that and just get that done.
But it's still a personal touch too. Mm-hmm. I think that's where a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to turn on those automations. I don't want those to run because I don't want to neglect that personal experience. Mm-hmm. But really, it's accommodating to your schedule, right? As a patient, we always have to say we know how to talk to patients because we are the patients. And it's that experience that, I'm making it personalized and making sure you're taken care of. And you'll have all the time to talk one-on-one when you're in the office.
Right. Yeah. So, that's just one thing that I think is so important these days. It's just that online booking functionality. But back to my favorite campaign, reactivation. Those elements of a clear, concise subject line. You don't want to get too wordy in your subject lines. This is kind of the way you get people to open the email. So keep that 5 to 7 words. Keep it short. We like to use "we've missed you" or keep it direct, sort of like "you're overdue for an appointment." That just keeps it very to the point, and then with the body copy of the email, keep that short and to the point. A lot of times, people these days will just kind of skim through emails, and they just want to they want to know what you're talking about without having to spend a lot of time reading. And then we love to include text messages in these campaigns. Our email open rate is pretty high. The national average for open rates for emails is pretty low, like 2 to 3%. But when it's when it's coming from a trusted doctor, we find that our open rates are closer to 30 and 40%. So that's pretty huge, and that's why email marketing in this space is so effective.
We talk about this a lot too when talking to doctors, and it's like, do you understand how many companies would kill to have your patient base, to have people that are actually attentive to your brand, to what you're trying to uncover, what you're trying to educate them on? You think of like restaurants, you think of any company out there, us, how you would just kill to have somebody that is engaged with your content no matter what you deliver, and they're yearning for that education. And that's why those numbers are also so high. But to your very point, email subject lines are so key, because if it's not relevant to them and they don't see anything, that you're going to be one of those other spams. They just click on and delete and move on. So you want to make sure it stands out and that it's clearly from you as well, because most likely just being a dental practice and being the person they are loyal to, they'll open it. So it just helps the chances all the more.
Yeah, exactly. And then, text message open rates, there's not really like an open rate kind of deal for them, but I would say it's probably like, 100%. You get a text message, you're going to click it, you're going to read it.
No one wants that notification.
Just to get the notification out of there. And you have to be careful with text messages, sort of with regulations, but if it's a healthcare related, subject, then such as like you're overdue for an appointment, then that's totally fine to text your patients, just educating them about, hey, it's been 18 months since we last saw you. It's more than enough time for plaque and tartar to build up. So we need to come in definitely for a dental cleaning. So for those reactivation campaigns, text and email is that 1-2 punch that we found that works amazingly well. And then just, making sure to provide, the phone number to call, and make sure to send this out during a time when your practice is open. We don't want to send these campaigns out, at night and then have a patient call and then no one answers, of course. So send them out, mid-morning, early afternoon, that sort of thing will work perfectly. And text and email. And then for the text message, you're kind of working with limited characters there, but you just want to make sure we love to include links in our text messages.
Yes.
So, when a patient gets that text and they see, oh, I can book online, let me just click that link in that text, brought straight to an online scheduling form where they can fill it out, easy, done, they're scheduled within minutes. So just make sure that you include that. And then with our text, with those links in the text, we like to use a link shortener, such as Bitly, like a link shortening tool. It's really helpful. So you just put that link into the link shortening tool, and it spits out this, instead of like this big, long, conjumbled link, it's just a really short, concise link that looks good and clean in text messages. So reactivation, a huge campaign to run. Another one, of course, is also my favorite, would be end of year insurance.
Yeah.
This is one that we've been running just for years. It's so powerful to remind patients that, hey, the end of year is coming and let's get you scheduled. And that's why, we see it every year. Practices schedules in the months of November and December is a madhouse. It's crazy. So one thing we also suggest is to send out these communications early, start in August, just to remind patients the end of year is coming soon. And if you don't get scheduled, then you might miss out. So that's also just a huge push to get patients to book appointments. Those are my two favorites.
Yeah. And they drive when you said phone calls, you absolutely hear the phone calls ring after we send out those types of messages. And it's because, you guys, both of those are directly related to people being busy and they literally forget. I love when you talked about reactivation and letting them know it's been 18 months, 2 years. You'll be surprised how many people are shocked by that. They're like, oh, it's been 2 years already? I swear I was just there. Like, I just got a cleaning. No, it's just because they're so busy. It has nothing to do with their ghosting you or ignoring you sometimes, right? They're just busy and they forgot. And so, and also if it's complicated, if they go to your website, they click on a button or they call a number and those aren't working and they're not getting them to where they want to be, you're losing them, or they're pushing it off more and more. If they're able to act and you make it easy for them by sending them a text with that quick link where they can click the link and book online, done. And even to the point of, if you send it during the day when someone's available, that's awesome because then someone can cater to any questions that they have. But also having online tools like what we talked about with Mike Sula a few weeks ago with LocalMed, having your online scheduler so you can also have patients book at different hours could also allow you to send it out at different hours too. But we typically find you get just as high results during the day while your team is available. But allowing those avenues for them to book online is huge because that just gives them more control and, just making sure that they can coordinate everything with the time that they have when they're available. So then everybody's happy. End of year insurance, send it out in August. I always love that because it's so true. The practice gets busy and then the person finally reaches out to book their appointment. It's like, we don't have any availability until next year. And then they're mad at you. That's not fair. But if you send it out earlier, you get to book your schedule faster and earlier and longer, which works out for everybody and they get to use their benefits because you didn't just tell them at the last minute. And emails and text messages are so much more beneficial. I still have practices that say they do letters, like they'll manually send out letters. And I'm like, oh my God, that's great. As another touch point, one office does postcards. And that always is a lot of success to have that additional, which you can do in some of these softwares like Revenue Wall, you can send out the postcard as an additive. But why not do a push before? See if you have to pay for postage or if you can avoid that cost, because you might fill up and not have to even worry about that anyway. But oh God, please try email and text first before resorting to those costs and time of putting in any mailers.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of these systems can send out, this messaging. So, I implore you to just go into your own systems and just kind of play around with the sort of things you can do within these systems. I'm sure there's like a campaign tab that you can click on. And that'll bring you up to just create an email, and just don't be don't be nervous about it. It's really, a lot of these systems will have, pre-built templates that you can work from. And then, it's really fun just to play with the filterings of a lot of these systems.
Explain that a little bit. Yeah.
So, and also another one of our favorite campaigns is like unscheduled treatment. Mm-hmm. And if your system can pull procedure codes, then you can do a really fun thing is just target unscheduled treatment. So that's creating a campaign. And then, say you wanted to target unscheduled implant procedures. So, you build out your campaigns, telling patients, hey, you have unscheduled dental implant to be placed. Here's how easy it is. Here's how you can get that scheduled. And then you can go into the filtering options, and you can go in and make sure you click on, unscheduled people, patients that are unscheduled, and then also go down maybe to proposed services and enter in those dental implant codes. And so that'll pull from your treatment plans that you have written up. And then that'll, speak to those patients that have had a proposed implant, and then, talk about how important that is to get that started, and then, provide an easy avenue for them to get that scheduled. So, I mean, all day, every day, you're proposing treatment as a doctor. And if you're not following up on those things, then, you could just be forgotten about or lost.
There's so much pressure of the chair, right? When you're proposing treatment, and all that pressure goes into them accepting right then and there while it's fresh on their mind. But really, it doesn't have to be if you nurture them outside of the office as well. So campaigns like that, when you can target specifically with dental implants, like think of the barriers that commonly come up: cost, time, authority, if they can trust you as a doctor to do implant placements. You can combat those specific barriers by targeting that specific list of codes and address them head on. Why shy away from it when you can say, hey, if this is holding you back, don't worry, we've got you covered. Finance is holding you back, we've got you covered. We have care credit. We also have an in-office membership plan if you don't have insurance. So just addressing those concerns with a solution, and then you don't have to say as much in the doctor's chair, right? You don't have to have all that pressure inside the office. You can keep them wondering what their options are, keep them like they feel like they're in control. So then when they do talk to their spouse, when they talk to other parties that have influences on them, they can show those resources to be like, oh, this is what I wanted to do, or build that excitement again. Because sometimes they're really excited in the chair and then they leave and they're like, they get, hammered with all the questions. Well, how much does it cost? And how much time do you stay off work? And will you be able to pick up Billy after school? And, just like all these questions. Well, the excitement goes away but really what it was a change in their life, right? It was a moment where they thought their smile or their confidence was going to be different. All that goes out the window and reality sets in, and they're like, oh, I guess I can hold off for now. And where these emails and communications can really make it stronger and drive it home.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of our, when we have you can have like a treatment plan follow-up automation set up with some of these softwares. And that's sending out a sequence of emails to patients with proposed treatment that's not been necessarily accepted yet. And so a lot of these systems by default are kind of set up to just to send out the treatment plan table and kind of like saying, hey, here's your proposed treatment. Here's
Which can
why.
sometimes look like a bill, right?
Right.
Like it can kind of be an intimidating email sometimes if you don't customize it.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing that we love doing is going and customizing those and hitting those pain points that those patients might be looking out for. So, the first one will go out saying, hey, here's your proposed treatment. Here's why it's important. Second one might go out and talk about, hey, is price a factor in you not scheduling? Well, here's the sort of different financial options that we have, whether that's our in-office membership plan, maybe you don't have insurance, so here's an option for that, care credit, and that sort of thing. And then the next sequence of email would be saying, well, maybe is fear a factor?
Mm.
So here's the type of sedation options that we have, and here's how easy it is to get all these procedures done in one visit using sedation, and how it's just nothing to be afraid of. And then the third one could talk about the different types of technology. So you want to just establish yourself as the authority in this space, and why you've invested in this technology in order to make your procedures more safer and effective. And then there's different sort of pain points that you can combat these fears, whether it's time, money, fear and that sort of thing. So we love just to not send out the same email over and over again expecting different results. We like to have a different approach with hitting these different types of pain points.
So true. You don't want to send out the same thing thinking that you're going to get different results. And I love that approach that you guys created too, with the different attempts and making sure you have 5 attempts, maybe at least 3 typically with unscheduled treatment. And why always use the same message with that? Use it as an opportunity to educate different types. So like you said, combat fear, address financial. You guys highlight reviews sometimes on some of them too, and I love that. So it's addressing different things and seeing what makes that person tick. What gets that person to act? What is hitting them to their core? And switching it up so you're giving those different attempts to really drive it in and make sure that they understand how important it really is to take care of their smile now and not hold off treatment.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we talked about, reactivation, end-of-year insurance. Another one would be collections is
that was the newer one.
It's a newer one.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important, of course, again, just to educate patients on, if they have, an overdue bill with you. Some of these systems can make it easy for you to create a list of patients that are maybe 90 days overdue on their bill. And instead of having, your front desk spending all our time calling these patients, dealing with, maybe collections or insurance companies, that we could send out a campaign in order to inform the patients that they have, an overdue bill. And, here's an easy way to take care of that. It's not something that, it's just something that patients would appreciate, I feel, just to be informed of that and to get that taken care of.
Yeah, it's a sense of not being blindsided. And I think that's what a lot of the communications that are sent out are to prevent, right? Is to nurture them, to educate them along the way. And if you give them like, hey, just a heads up, you're 90 days overdue on your payment, again, it comes back to being busy and how if you have online payments available where they can just pay online and have those call to actions really accessible, that helps too. But even just, making it more like, hey, here, this is something we want you to be aware of, and this is an easy way to act. So then they're not just getting a random call when it's too late and you're about to send them to collections and they're really upset, right? Maybe they just didn't know, and maybe you thought you were telling them, but you weren't effectively. At the end of the day, that's going to be your fault. It's going to be on you. So you want to make sure you're having those avenues of communication to make sure that they hear you and understand the repercussions of it.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so like with these targeted campaigns, we have, with our targeted campaigns, we have, reactivation type campaigns. We love those. Yeah. Those will be sent out all throughout the year. So usually we like to send out, kind of like a quarterly. So Q1 we'll have a reactivation, and then Q2 reactivation, Q3, and so on. We like to do those all throughout the year. But there's some, of course, that only sent out in certain parts of the year. So we talked about earlier the end of year insurance campaigns. Those will be sent out, of course, towards towards the latter half of the year. But then in the unscheduled treatment campaigns, those will also be sent out all throughout the year as well, because there's always unscheduled treatment.
People are exiting the list and new people are coming into the list, right? So it's not like you're always hitting the same people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you are hitting the same people and they're like, oh, well, they're going to unsubscribe. You've lost them. You don't have, especially if they're a recall reactivation and they haven't been in 18 months, you have nothing to lose at that point. You only have so much to gain. So making sure you're hitting them up every quarter. And then, like you said, with the automations are also going on simultaneously to make sure that everything is making it easy for them to book that appointment. Right. But yeah, people are leaving and coming into the list. So
yeah, I mean, they might not see the email.
Absolutely.
And so next month they might get another one and they might see that one. And they might read that one and act upon that one. You just never know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the targeted. And then educational, we have different ones go out throughout the entire year. Spring cleanings is a good educational one that goes out.
And that just talks about oral health and
right. That is geared towards getting more hygiene patients in. It talks about the importance of oral health and getting your spring cleaning done when you're doing your spring cleaning of your house.
And that's a good approach too, or something that you mentioned was going after hygiene appointments. A lot of times we hear, oh, well, we're busy. Well, what's busy in your practice? Is it your doctor schedule or is it your hygiene schedule? This is one of those campaigns, and same with Recall, where they help go after hygiene schedule. But then there's a lot of times people neglect to help with the doctor schedule specifically. Obviously, your hygiene is going to help get those doctor schedules in as you keep using those, so that's why the focus is there. But if you also nurture people that have been proposed and you have those types of messages that are specific to what is the goal? Are we going after doctor schedule? Or are we going after hygiene schedule? That's going to help you determine your verbiage a little bit better, and then your call to action a little bit better as well. So that's just a nice little tip to think of. What is the goal of this message? Why are we sending it? And what do we want to help benefit? So spring cleanings, hygiene schedule is a great to help make that healthy in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, definitely love looking at it that way. In order just to make sure that hey, we're still full on hygiene, but the doctor, his schedule is looking a little light. So let's go towards more treatment focus. And then of course during the summer, kids are out of school. That'd be a great time to focus on getting kids in during that time. And then big, end of year push, holiday type campaigns. So practices love just making little videos. Wishing everybody happy holidays and that sort of thing. It's just another nice touch point that people really enjoy hearing from their dentist, wishing them happy holidays. It's always a big campaign for us. It's
always a popular one. It's like happy birthday and happy holidays. That's just something everybody likes to get.
Right. And those are two of my favorites as well. I mean, I love the happy birthday videos, and patients love it too. Just
love it.
Having that just warm, that funny, makes you laugh touch point of a doctor getting pied in the face and being goofy. It's one of
see them outside of their element a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite videos to work with. Just I laugh and smile every time.
Never gets old.
Yeah, it never gets old. I've seen hundreds of happy birthday videos over the years, and they're all so different and funny, and each one has their own little bit of personality to it. And
Dr. Brown's, hey, who turned out the lights? And there's like neon and it's always funny because we'll always tell practices when they come on and they decide to do videos as well. You're going to get happy birthday is always the favorite. And that's usually what we get the most pushback on. Like, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, just trust us. That's always the most popular. And then as soon as they start sending those out, that's patients come in and they're like, I love the happy birthday video. Thank you. Right. Time and time again. And you can even do that on,
it doesn't need to be a full-blown production. If you just want to get your team together to record on your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something,
An excuse to pie your doctor in the face.
Yes.
And just say happy birthday. add it to a campaign.
It's seriously one of the most effective touch points is the happy birthday.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, it definitely is.
The most enjoyable as a patient.
Right.
And that you might think like, oh, what's the action to that? What's the call to action, as we say in marketing, right? But really, it's loyalty too. There's types of messages that you're sending out that have an ulterior motive as well, and that might just be to create loyalty and to create that relationship. And I mean, there's even a popular one is like meet the doctors,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, well, what's the purpose of that? Well, it's to create a relationship so they don't only just see them as a doctor, but they also see them as a human, right? And like understand, oh wow, they went to this university, I did too, or they have kids, I had no idea, or they have a dog, they like to golf. Like these types of things help bond those relationships. But then on top of that, you can highlight your certifications and why you are a dentist and why you're able to do these types of high value procedures, so they also build trust. Sometimes the end goal isn't always, obviously the end goal is always to book an appointment, but sometimes it doesn't seem like that in that specific message. Sometimes it's just building upon them actually booking an appointment, and you have to have those touch points. And that's where educational really comes in clutch.
Yeah.
To make those relationships.
Yeah, like you said, meet the doctor. I mean, you might think, what's the point? But it creates that like talking point. So maybe I read that email, and next time I'm in the chair, I'm going to bring up how he likes to go hunting or play golf on the weekends or something like that. So it just establishes that relationship and keeps that relationship going. Or just introduce the team. It's I think one of our favorite pages on a website is the Meet the Team page. I love reading the bios of the doctors and seeing what they like to do on the weekends. It's like my favorite blurb of any bio is what they do outside of the office. What makes them human and you want to connect with them. So that's a big part of the Meet the Doctors. Just creating that connection, creating that loyalty. And just,
And I think that drives home too when you're talking about connection and having the doctors and bios. You can't do that without custom photography, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you talked about this earlier about the elements. You need photos, maybe a video, call to action buttons, or copy. But talk about the difference that you've noticed with personal photography and why that's so powerful in these messages.
Right. So you might look into your system and say you wanted to create a campaign, and you bring up a template, and it's sort of like this, this guy with a mask on and a dental tool that you've never seen before, and it's just a dentist from a stock photography website and that sort of thing. So we kind of definitely want to steer away from using those, because that's not who the patient's going to see. They're going to see you, and we think that's so powerful to take custom photography for our clients and include those in every single campaign, so they have that, they're seeing those faces in their emails and the same faces that they see when they come into the door. It's so powerful, and we just love using custom photography. You might be like, oh, I'm not photogenic, but
not a model. Yes, you are.
Every practice that we take pictures of, the pictures always come out just beautiful, and so warm and inviting.
It's a great team bonding experience too, for the team to get together and to like have different patients involved that you're going to shoot photos with for the day, and you just all going to hang out. Or we say a few hours, because we get every hour is that you're not producing, right? So we want to make sure we're aware of that time. But it's a great few hours where you can just really enjoy hanging out with your team and capturing photos and involving patients.
And the types of photos, it boils down to, we like, team photos. So get your team together to have a group shot. And, individual headshots for the website, of course, are good. And then different sorts of office shots. So just sort of everybody out of the office, and just like a picture of the operatory and a picture of the front desk and the waiting area, and of course outside the building. But then the most powerful photos that we love to use are patient interaction photos. So those are just photos just with a patient in the chair and a doctor sitting beside them, just talking. showing them a diagram, showing them a model, showing them a piece of technology, and just smiling and talking, and it just creates that emotional connection. And those work wonderfully in our campaigns. Just patient interaction photos of people smiling and having a good time at the dentist. Because let's be honest, a lot of the dentist is not like people's favorite place to be.
Yeah, people are terrified of the dentist. Yeah.
So showing that people are smiling and relaxed.
It's a great time to reflect on who your target demographic is too. If you have certain patients that you want more of, whether it's an age demographic, most likely if you have predominantly specific gender or whoever is going to be in your area, that really is key because you want to resonate with those patients. So if you want someone like me, you might get a patient that is going to be like me, so I can kind of see them and say, oh, wow, that person looks like me. They kind of feel like me. I can literally see myself going there, right? So if you want more millennials or something, you would have millennials in your photos. And then if you want more baby boomers, you'd have baby boomers in your photos. And even having that variety, if you see kids, get them in your photos, because that is just going to help when people see them actually in your office that are like them, they instantly think, oh, I can be there too. I can be put there. And it's a crazy thing that we do with our brains, but it's a great tip to be cognizant of, to make sure that you are, when you're scheduling out these photo shoots, have people that you want more of and attract those people.
Yeah. And when you're building out, your website or a campaign or something, you want to be sure that you're using the right patient for the right procedure.
Yes.
That's like just really key of like, you don't want to send out an implant campaign with just a little 10-year-old sitting in there talking about how little Jimmy needs implants when he definitely doesn't.
I hope not.
So that's really important just to make sure you're using the right photos for the right situation.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the elements. You gave some really great insight about different campaigns. The last thing I really want to talk to you about is what's like a common mistake that you find offices tend to do when sending out messages.
Yeah. So, so common mistakes that I've seen over the years would just be practices kind of just sending out. One thing is practices sending out like an email that is just straight text on a keyboard. It's just like there's no personality. There's no one thing I love about these systems that you can enter in different kind of like tags. So it'll show up as like patient first name. So they could be like, hey, patient first name. So it'll be like, hey, Jim, and that sort of thing. So adding that personalization to an email and making sure you have the font size, big enough to read. That's really important, to test these emails and to look, send it send a test email to yourself and look, can I read this on my phone or do I need to make the text a little bigger? We recommend 18-point font on all our campaigns. We've seen that that's just, eligible or legible to read.
That's such a good point too with phones, testing it on your phone and on the desktop. Just because it looks good on your desktop or on your computer where you're implementing it doesn't mean it looks as well on a phone device. Or it might be a lot smaller there, so it's hard to read.
Yeah, and just making sure you include clear call to actions. So making sure you just include a button if you're wanting people to schedule, then make it easy for them to schedule. So include that button with that link to schedule, and then just making sure that just the things, the details are correct. So your phone number is correct, or the doctor or the practice name is all correct. The address is correct. So just double checking all the sorts of little things. Like I said before, send that test email to yourself, and then click all the links, or click the phone number. Make sure that your phone is ringing and that you're able to pick it up and that sort of thing.
We even have, it goes through 3 different phases of review for us. So, even sending it to a team member and making sure that all different perspectives are brought in is super helpful, because if you're creating it, sometimes you get lost in another detail that you might be paying attention to, where someone else can experience it as a patient. That kind of puts them outside of the box that helps make sure that everything is accurate. Because you never want to send out the wrong phone number or the wrong link to somewhere and confuse the patient and just lessen your chances of getting those results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So you said you want to make sure you double check everything. You want to make sure to include tags and make sure those tags are accurate in the settings.
Mm-hmm.
So, but utilizing patient name, utilizing practice name, phone number, so you don't have to write it out every time. That helps.
Yeah, and just this formatting in general. I'll oftentimes see just like a big wall of text, just a big giant never-ending, sentence that looks like, exactly what they,
what are the
like
words?
Like I was saying before, like these people, not these people, but anybody, they skim through emails.
Yes.
So just having different sort of headings that you want, that we want to stand out, or bold certain sentences that are more important, is really important. Just making sure that you're putting spaces in between paragraphs and just making sure it looks nice and like a nice formatted email.
It represents your practice. This is huge. Look at it. Don't just create. No wonder you might be scared to send these messages out without having, the recognition of like just putting on your patient hat. Just put it on and say, okay, if I was a patient and I got it from my phone or I got it on my computer, how would I read this? And does it represent the practice well? I think just by doing that is going to set you up for success. But, that's so key. Bullet points. Break up the content. If you don't want to have to read those nitty-gritty details, don't do it. Break it up. Make it simple for them to easily skim it, understand what they want you to do, and make it easy for them to act, so then they go ahead and act.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Peyton, this has been so insightful. Thank you so much for hanging out and just letting us get inside your brain a little bit more.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I hope you learned as much as I did about this. This is very informative information. And just remember, be brave to send out these messages. You got this. It is totally fine. But I understand it can be intimidating, or we've definitely done a lot of trial and error over the years. This is what we live and breathe. Are these campaigns, are these messages to make sure that they're effective? So if you are overwhelmed, you can always reach out to us or have us do it for you. We are High Five. You can check out more information at highfivepractice.com. And if you want to schedule a consultation, we are happy to look over what your current settings are, figure out what your goals are, and what campaigns we would recommend for you, whether that's you doing it or us doing it for you. Because just so you guys know, we typically find with these communication softwares, practices use usually less than 10% of the amenities that are available to them to use. We'll go in and use 100% of them and make sure that they're effective. So if you want to learn more, chat us, check us out on highfivepractice.com, give us a call, schedule time. We'll be happy to help you out. I'm really excited about next week as well. If you guys want to join me for Let's Eat with Abbey, again, it's every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Time. We're going to sit down and eat lunch with Pete Sylvester. He's going to be letting us know about calling patients as far as recalls to help make sure that your recalls are just as effective with campaigns through phone calls. And he is with the Call Pros. So he's going to give us all kinds of insight next Wednesday. So we'll see you guys there. And thanks again, Peyton.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.